If the theory of evolution is to be believed and we're evolved from primates, when were our animal souls converted to immaterial souls? Was it when Adam was created? This is an interesting question, Father. What do you think about this?
It is, and we're touching on things that could take a whole hour. So we're going to have to really, I think, get to the heart of the question here, which is not about debating whether the theory of evolution can be reconciled in its entirety with divine revelation, but really the question here is, it gets to that, but it's pertaining specifically to what Henry rightly recognizes as an issue, that the immortal soul, the immaterial soul of man as created by God, cannot evolve. It must be infused by God into man, which God does every time there's a human conception. As far as we know, we do not yet have a case where God allows a human to be sort of conceived without a rational soul, because of course then you wouldn't be a human. But every time couples come together, regardless of the circumstance, God consents to give a soul to the being that's conceived there. So that cannot happen by, say, natural selection. There's an immaterial gap, an unbridgeable gap between the animal and between the rational animal, which is why humans are different. And we do recognize that because of what was confirmed for us by Pope Pius XII, but of course given in Scripture, that there is a true first set of first parents to the human race. And this is specifically written about in the document from 1950, Humani Generis, for our readers that want to look into that. And documents used to be shorter. That's the thing about old documents, without the computer and copy and paste and all that, it was easy to write short documents, hard to write long ones, so they were easier to read. But the doctrine of sin specifically shows us that sin is passed down through generations. That's what the doctrine of original sin is, not that a little baby has committed any personal sin of their own fault, but they inherit a wound that is received from his or her parents. This is how sin is passed down generation to generation, and that we recognize that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. This is confirmed for us in the letter to the Romans, and specifically throughout the New Testament. So that means that there has to be a beginning of this generation of the immortal soul being passed down from parents. So there can't be a situation where there's just diverse animals throughout the world and then they each sort of evolve into something we loosely call a human race, but all magically got the immaterial soul at the same time. I should say the rational soul at the same time. And the soul is immortal because it's rational, because there's something about it that is not given purely by nature. It endures past death. So there has to be an origin to the human species that is God's creation. So there's a lot of questions about how a Catholic could think about the proposed theory of evolution, which, as we know, and I'm sure there's some people maybe knocking their heads right now against the radio with what I'm saying, that the word theory in modern scientific study is a weighty word. It's not a theory like I have a theory about why the person across the street from me has crazy signs on their lawn or something like that. But it comes with a lot of evidence, but something that can't be strictly proven according to the scientific method. Well, there's all kinds of ways that we don't even realize that we disagree with the theory as proposed in an entirely materialist sense, and Catholics who try to sort of bounce around it to just kind of insert God into the theory so it's not entirely materialistic also have their own issues to deal with. So there's a lot that could be said, but I think we'll have to leave it at that. Henry's on to a correct point that the material soul of an animal doesn't just become an immaterial soul, it doesn't just get converted, that we actually have to say that there is a true father and mother of the human race, that their names were not necessarily Adam and Eve. God called them the man and the woman. They fell from grace and have passed that wound on to their progeny, and that's us. As to other hominid-like creatures that may have been around before us, scholars will continue to debate, but while the world turns, the cross stands still. And unless we're going to start saying that some people out there that do something we don't like, it's okay, they're irrational humans, they don't have sin, then we're all still sinners and we've all received it from that first wound. So God didn't make us that way. God would be evil if he created us sinners. We fell from grace, and he's trying to bring us back. Good question, Henry.